Yo, it's Wednesday. It's Snowfall Day, baby. That's what it is. It's Happy Snowfall Day. Last season jumps off tonight on FX. I'm excited about it, Left. I don't know about you, man. I can't. How do you think it's gonna turn out for Franklin, bro? Left, you got me? Lucky Lefty podcast. I don't know what's going on with Left. He froze. Lucky Lefty podcast, man. Happy Wednesday to everyone. We are brought to you by Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. It is that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. And if you drink, by all means, make sure that you do so
responsibly. Can you hear me better?
Woo! Yeah, that was perfect timing. You got to do it responsibly. We are also partnered with Rock Financial for all your business needs. Whatever you need funded. You're trying to flip a house, trying to get a little extra cash to expand in your business plans. Rock out with Rock Financial. Go to ROK.biz right now. Rock Financial. And tell them Lucky Lefty sent you. Left, it's Happy Snowfall Day, Left.
It's Happy Snowfall Day.
Happy Snowfall Day. Absolutely.
Louis did it. Louis did it.
Yes, she did. If I had to get a prediction from you, how do you think everything ends for Franklin?
I would love to see him right off in the sunset, but he's gonna have a dramatic exit where everybody got to either go to jail or die. That's just how it happens.
It never ends up the way you want it to end up for the main character, right? I'm right there with you, Left. I want him to walk off into the sunset with his newborn baby in tow, his mom right there. I just don't see it that way.
Just don't see it happening.
I do think he's going to have. I do think he's going to have to make one of the toughest choices ever and have to kill somebody. I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know who it's going to be.
we ain't saying who.
He's going to have to make a tough decision, man. Today's show. Well, first of all, before we get to today's show, we had a fantastic interview with Notre Dame great, former Notre Dame safety Jeff Burris last night. Left was unable to hop in because he had something that was very important that he had to handle. And pretty much we went ahead and did part one. We've already agreed to do a part two with Coach Burris. He's going to come back on, and Malik and Coach Burris they're going to dive into the nuances of Notre Dame and really get into that 2016 season when he was an analyst on the staff and had some pretty good conversations that year with you, Left, which ended up being a pivotal year for you as you came back from injury.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's the type of conversation that I could not have with Jeff Burris, but the interview is up. It's also available on podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, CFB Nation, in conjunction with Irish Breakdown. All of our great content. Give us 5 stars. Leave your comments. We appreciate them all. We respond to all. We are the home of the misguided passion. It's the
That's
Lucky
right.
Lucky podcast. You already know. We spin it different.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about Marcus Freeman because we didn't talk about Marcus Freeman and what he had to say about the hire. You know, we couldn't get past the first 5 minutes
Can we pass the first 5
of his
minutes?
presser, but I'm willing to say that the last 5 minutes for Marcus Freeman was just as good as the first 5 minutes. Things got a little heated.
Things did get a little heated.
Things got a little heated. So we're going to talk about that. But we're going to talk about some questions to start off the show. We're going to talk about some questions that we got from yesterday's show. And like I said, we love all comments, man. We respond to all. Some very interesting questions that were left on yesterday, bro.
Mm.
This one comes from one of our listeners, and they want to know, Malik, do you think you went a little bit too hard on Jared Parker when he was talking about having a collaborative effort with the coaching staff?
I don't think there's a problem with him having a collaborative effort. I don't think I went too hard on him. I just am addressing that there is a difference when you're doing a collaborative effort as opposed to what the position was required that Marcus Freeman was looking for. And Marcus Freeman was looking for an offensive coordinator who could give a pro style offense and a command that can elevate our players. Coming in with a collaborative effort and you looking to get a bunch of uh, opinions from the coaching staff of what guys like and, slowly elevate the offense in that way. I just think for what we're looking for, I don't know if it's matching up with, like Marcus Freeman said, I don't know if it's the offense he wants, but it's something that can help our guys right now.
It's interesting when you talk about that, man, and I don't think you went hard at all. I think the information you gave was very informative and was an inside look at what the collab effort was when you were a player and how it led to some difficult situations. I think one of the things you talked about was, who do I talk to as a quarterback? As a quarterback, who is going to be my go to guy? We have a lot of different voices, but when I have a question, who am I going directly to get the answer I need to make sure that I know what the heck I'm doing?
That's right.
And by all means, I don't care who's talking. Get me the playing time so when I run back on the field after a timeout, I don't get a delay of game, which, which, which is something we consistently saw,
Consistently.
man, during Brian Kelly's era. Absolutely. Left, we have another listener question, and this one is pretty interesting. With everything that was pointed out by Coach Parker, which system do you think fits the best when he talked about the multiple systems that he's coached in? What fits Notre Dame the best?
What can fit Notre Dame the best is to have a very strong foundation running the football, having a very nice ability to play action off of that run game because we have an O line that can, get in the trenches and win in the trenches. But that third element that we're looking for on offense is to have some type of four wide, a spread, possibly a 10 personnel, an effective 10 personnel. Maybe we don't need a tight end, but we can add an extra receiver to be able to show the prowess of the talent in the receiver room, the talent of the quarterback, but also giving defenses even more fits than it would be just running and play action. I think having that nice consistency of a pass game that we can rely on, not just throw in to mix it up, I think it would make us 10 times more unstoppable and more of a threat when we're playing in these games that are in of need of winning. Yeah, we can win on the regular style we have been, but for games in which we need to win, that element has to show. And I think if you're going to do anything, that expectation that we put out there yesterday of at least 250 and a couple tubs has to be something we're leaning on.
He said at least 250.
At least 250.
And people thought we were lowballing Sam Hartman. Well, we said that. That's the crazy thing. When we gave our minimum requirements for Sam Hartman, People thought we were lowballing Sam Hartman, and I'm like, no, 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 no.
Because it's not
That,
about Sam Hart.
no, has nothing to do with Sam Hartman, right?
That's the
Sam
thing.
Sam Hartman can win a lot of games in Notre Dame throwing for 250 and 2 touchdowns. A lot,
A lot.
a lot. Now, whether or not he can beat Ohio State throwing for 250, can he beat Clemson? He probably can beat Clemson throwing for 250 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Can he beat Caleb and USC throwing for 250, 2 touchdowns?
Our run game got to come show up and have 200 plus. But I think so. If he can, he might even have to get 300 because, Caleb can put up 40, 50 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, you hear that echo?
Uh, I hear you pretty good.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. It sounded like an echo was coming through my headphones. Lucky Lefty podcast. So we're talking about reaction from the fan base to what Jared Parker said during his introductory press conference. If we're going to just say who won the press conference, I definitely think Jared Parker won the press conference. I think he showed himself. He was authentic. That's all you can really ask of anyone. But I was talking to Jeff Burris last night, Left.
Okay.
And I said, Coach, it's amazing how when I look at the stats back in 1989, 1990, 91, 92, 93, everybody said that Notre Dame ran an antiquated offense.
Mm.
And yet they consistently outscored today's Notre Dame offense.
Mm. That's a conundrum.
He said, "Explain." I said, "Explain that to me, Coach." And he flat out said, "We have more talent." Said we had more talent. He said, "I was recruited to Notre Dame as a running back, and I was sixth on the depth chart. Sixth on the depth chart. That's crazy.
Mm.
Sixth on the depth chart. He was behind the likes of Jerome Bettis, Rodney Culver, Ricky Waters, Tony Brooks, Reggie Brooks, Dorsey Levens. That's crazy. And he came in with another All-American running back 5-star named Willie Clark in the same class. He was like, we just have more talent, man. Like when you have talent, you will find ways to put points on the board. Is it as simple as the talent that's been added to the Notre Dame offense, whether it's through recruiting or through the transfer portal, specifically at the quarterback position? Is it that simple for Notre Dame to be able to add points to the board week to week this year?
Is it that simple? It can be, provided we make a concerted effort to highlight the talent that we have on our team, which Jared Parker mentioned. I think if we're giving committed attempts to throwing the ball more than twice to Tobias Merriweather in a season, I think we'll have more success or potential success being able to rely on the fact that we got a guy that can make plays when opportunities are given. So if more opportunities are given to the passing game, I think that'll help the run game flourish a lot sooner than it did during last season. And I think it'll help give us an identity of what we can build on. Having a guy that is very capable of having a 4,000-yard passing season, and also a guy that's very capable of having a 1,000-yard rusher, but also 3,000-yard passing season. So the potential is on the team. So is it going to help? I hope it does, but only if the opportunities increase at the positions that have been a little dry the last couple of years.
What have been those dry positions left? I mean, speak on it. Or would you be talking about quarterback or wide receiver? Or
I think it's been more eggs in one basket for the tight end. I think the tight end has given us a ton of production, and maybe some of that production spread out in some other positions could give us more effective W's against teams that are pretty balanced talent wise compared to us. But if the opportunity is given, I think guys like Ben Morrison flashing on defense as a young guy, I think we can have that same sort of storyline and success. Maybe have like a Christian Watson type of breakout receiver for the Packers on offense as well, provided guys get opportunities. Ben Moore's got an opportunity as a freshman, and lo and behold, was in the right place, right time, and made freshman All-American. I think we have freshmen that are on offense that can do the same thing, but they got to be in the game to do it. So I think that's going to be something I'm looking forward to, provided Jared Parker goes about it that way.
did Coach Parker make you feel comfortable that youngsters will get the opportunity and will receive the trust to be able to make an impact early in his offense? Is that something you picked up from what he talked about during his press conference?
He said a lot of good things, but I do think, that along with having a collaborative effort of a lot of different things you want to do, I think can make it something interesting to see what happens. But I do think that he mentioned, which is the most important thing, the things that we do have to improve on, and I think he'll be able to make uh, a good try, or maybe not even a try, a good push towards making those things come true for Marcus Freeman and also that offensive unit.
Lucky Lefty Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, CFB Nation in conjunction with Irish Breakdown, all of our great content. You can go right there. You can check it out. Home of the misguided passion. It's the Lucky Lefty Podcast. You already know. We spin it different. Left, it's important to understand that he got through this process by obviously impressing Marcus Freeman during this interview. And Coach Parker talked about and was asked about what was it that he did in that interview that he felt like got him over the top.
Good question. I'll say this. I know him very well, which is good to know. Now, that's good and bad. That also means I know that when it's getting ready to erupt a little bit, I know it's getting ready to come at us. So, but I will say this, being able to communicate, look directly at him and see something halfway through that interview, I felt like I did, just to know that he liked where it was headed and a genuine approach. So I think I felt that energy, but more than anything, you just want to put out more of who you are and then also have a very clear and concise way of portraying, hey, this is where we're at. This is where we want to continue to find ways to grow and push it forward. And I believe I did a nice job of being able to push that message to him.
So Jared Parker said he felt like he knew the moment in the middle of the interview where he felt like he had kind of impressed Marcus Freeman. Does that make you feel good that the person? I mean, look, I've had interviews before where I felt like, okay, I'm killing it during the interview. Like they like me. I can feel it. Do you feel like that's a good thing normally?
I believe if I was the only one interviewing, I would feel pretty good that I'll be a slam dunk candidate up until that point. I think he probably walked in feeling real confident, considering information that it may or may not allegedly been true or not. But if I was Jared Parker, I'm like, I think I'm the only one left. So he's like, I don't have to say much because who's going to do it if not the guy down the hallway. So,
Well, considering that he was part of the process, he was the one next to Marcus Freeman and candidates when they came in to visit.
So I think him and Marcus Freeman felt that rise to the top by elimination of other guys that Marcus Freeman and Jared Parker got on the same page.
Yeah. Marcus Freeman talked about, yo, this is when I knew he was the guy.
Here's where the offense I was a part of is at. Here's the strengths. Here's some of the weaknesses. Here's the ways that I believe we can improve. Here's where I can bring in my own philosophy as an offensive coordinator and help us enhance. And that to me, halfway through it, I said, this is the guy. The way he talked about installs, the way he talked about developing our staff, the way he talked about developing the culture of that offense. I mean, there was so many different points. I said, man, this guy is it. And I might not have paid too much attention towards the end of it because I knew at that moment, I said, I found our next offensive coordinator. And again, you don't want to make emotional decisions. That's why I didn't stop the interview right then and there and say, hey, let's hire him. I just said, let me really think on it. Let me talk to some people that I really trust and know that were in those interviews and that I've talked to and bounce ideas off of to see am I right in the way I feel, and I woke up in the morning and I said, yeah, this is it. This is the guy.
It sounds good.
Jared Parker is not the problem.
Jared Parker is not the problem.
Notre Dame gave us an anticlimactic situation. As
Jared
a fan base.
Benefactor.
We danced in the club all night with this OC search. And then they cut the lights on. And it was like, oh, okay.
No. We danced in the club all night, bought tons of drinks, more than what we should have.
Now, wait a minute. Did you buy drinks for the crew?
Hold on.
You get bottle service for the crew? Because that's different.
Service, drinks for the different crews you met along the way. Even paid cover for a couple people that came in late. Lights came on. You went home. And lo and behold, it was your neighbor the whole time watching Netflix.
That's pretty good, Left. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. See, the point is, Notre Dame fans, regardless of who the choice was, should have been really excited about the choice. Should have been really excited. And that was stolen from Notre Dame fans. So I feel bad for the fan base. Because the fan base is put in a position to not feel ecstatic about the future, but to kind of just be in limbo, like, I don't know how to feel about this. And that's just unfortunate, man. Like, it has nothing to do with Jared Parker. Absolutely nothing. We're going to talk about, the combination of Jared Parker and Gino Guidugli, which I think eventually is going to end up being one of the best things to come out of everything that's happened. Long term for this university and the football program. Period. But it is unfortunate, right? It is unfortunate. And I think it was a process where everyone became weary at the end. Just flat out. I just think a lot of people involved are just like, man, look. But I do think Jared Parker had insider trading information by being part of the process. discussing things with Marcus Freeman about other candidates. And by the time he sat down for his interview, he had the cheat code. He had the cheat code, right? And now, we move forward. We absolutely move forward.
Yeah, got to move forward at this point.
And I'm not mad at Jared Parker for taking notes at all. Johnny S has a comment. Thanks for tapping in, Johnny S. I think the disconnect is Malik's definition of collaborative and mine are slightly different. Malik's viewpoint was him giving the position coaches too much leeway. Well, that would mean that collaborative has more than one definition. That's all.
That's all.
That's all. And I think that's why we brought up the question from one of our listeners that posted a question after the show.
I do think a lot of it is just Jared Parker's consistent message of, look, this is not a dictatorship that we had last time. This is not a dictatorship. This is going to be coaches that are brought here going to be able to coach their butt off, and what they're getting from their groups is going to be reported back to me, and we can put something good together to help all these groups, elevate and advance from what they were learning last year. So I do think that that's what convinced Marcus Freeman, was the fact that it was a nice dynamic to have and a refresher to have a coach come in and say it's not going to be my way or the highway. It's not going to be me just drawing up everything, running all the meetings, doing everything by myself, and everybody just follow along. I think that's what he experienced in the first year, which, it didn't work out as much as he had liked to. But Jared Parker seeing that and literally trying to do the opposite and just making it more apparent that this is going to be a better work environment. It's going to be a better work environment. Guys are going to like being here. We're going to push stuff together, put our minds together to get these victories, and it's not going to be a dictatorship. You're on mute, I think.
Marvin Bell, thank you for tapping in. He said, so we're not going to have a head coach of the offense left?
Unfortunately, Marcus Freeman just can't get a regular OC. He either got to get a OC by committee, or he got to get a dictatorship where everybody got to do what they say, my way or the highway.
Yeah.
Hopefully, after this year, maybe he can find in the middle ground. Yeah. We can just find a nice OC to come in and do his job that work well with everybody else and this and that and the third. But, I think that's just what you got to go through in your first years as a head coach.
I think that's fair. Lucky Lefty podcast. Coming up, we're going to dive deep into Marcus Freeman and what he said during the press conference and how it got pretty heated during the last 5 minutes, if you thought the first 5 minutes were something else. But before we do that, Lef, I'm going to ask you a question, and then, LL question of the day. Let's keep it a buck. Who's the nastiest person in your household? Who's the nastiest person in who has the worst office, bedroom, just clutter everywhere? I'm interested in knowing, LL Nation. Who would that be in your household? Who would it be? Now, Left, I don't want you to answer right now. I don't want you to answer right now.
Opt out of this.
The reason I asked this, man, because I saw this interesting video when they had all of the players down at the Super Bowl. They were asking them who had the worst locker on their team. And some of the NFL stars gave some interesting answers. And then I want you to think about it, Lev. Who had the worst locker during your time at Notre Dame? Who had the worst locker during your time at Notre Dame? Check this out.
Locker in your room.
Me. If we talk about the locker room,
my guys like that.
So those are the NFL stars talking about the messiest locker in their locker room. Left, who was the messiest locker in the Notre Dame locker room during your time?
Man, it was some messy lockers in there. But I don't know. I mean, it is Notre Dame guys, so they may have been a little messed up, but nothing too bad. Jerron's definitely was trash for sure. Jerron, all the guys you would think of that you like, he probably a little sloppy. Yeah, they locker was probably the same way. But there was some receivers. There was some receivers that were pretty sloppy too. So it just depends. It's really interesting.
Jerron shocks me because he's a mama's boy. So I would think Jerron would be really tidy. But no, maybe not, because maybe his mom picked up after him all the time.
But you got to think, though, some of these guys are hoarders. And they live out of their lockers. Kavari's locker was messy only because he lived in his locker.
Now, that's strange because Kavari is all about the zen and getting into a mode.
Man, this man never went home. Man, lived at the booth. So your locker got, jeans. You do your laundry there. It's just a lot going on. So it's just different.
Yo, the chat is really, some of you guys are throwing your significant others under the bus, bro. Of course, this is the place to do it. If you're going to do it, this is the place to do it in the chat. Right?
Let's do it right here.
Oh, man. But it's always, the one thing that stood out about that video, the messiest lockers were always some of the best players on the team.
Yep.
Like Justin Jefferson is probably getting sent clothes, and people want him to rock their brands, and they just stack up. And during the week, you don't have a time to sift through all that stuff.
No,
you just don't. So I understand. Like who was to your right in the locker room, Left?
I had Ev, and then I had Shaun.
So you were in the middle of Ev and Shaun.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys had to clean this area, right? The quarterbacks, you guys had to clean this area.
A lot of it was because we didn't have all the tape. The tape and cutting the tape after practice and all this stuff, that's what made the locker just a lot worse, you know. So that's what we were dealing with, was like, okay, linemen had a whole forearm, elbow tape, and then they would cut it off and leave it there.
Yeah.
It would just pile up. So you got everybody ankles and arms and wrists. I just had my ankles taped sometimes, but we didn't really have our ankles taped. So ours generally stayed clean and stuff. So you go down to the running backs, it's a little bad, you know, and then guys have sweaty stuff. So, you know, they take forever to put their laundry up, and sometimes they forget. So it's just a lot going on.
Yeah, that's funny. Ricky Doyle, or Rick Doyle, thank you for tapping in. It's a funny story. I had a rep from a warranty company come into the dealership. I set my phone down to talk to him, and he sees an LL podcast on my phone. He asks, "Oh, you watch LL and IB too?" It was pretty cool. Man, that's what's up, Rick. That's what's up.
Man,
I'm going to get on Jerron the next time he joins the show, bro.
get on Jay, man.
Yeah, I'm going to get on him like, oh, man, you didn't tell me. You're at the sloppy locker in the locker room, bro. Lucky Lefty podcast. We transition now to Marcus Freeman and what he had to say during his press conference introducing Jared Parker as the new offensive coordinator. Lucky Lefty podcast. You already know we spin it different. Left. Marcus Freeman. Let's talk about it. You talk about a book-in press conference. First 5 minutes, fire. Last 5 minutes, fire. And some very interesting things in between that connect to some of the things that you said yesterday that you felt like were vitally important to the progression of the offense at Notre Dame. One of the things you pointed out is how he had this extensive national search. And then the choice ends up being down the hallway. Now, if he had made that choice initially, doing the search probably has a totally different perception amongst the fan base and nationally as well. But Marcus Freeman, when kind of attacked by that via a question, this is what he had to say about it.
With the interview, and he's called plays. He was a coordinator, obviously, at West Virginia for a couple of years, and actually called it for a certain amount of games. And you know, his ability to really say, "Hey, here's how I would implement our system as a coordinator. Here's how I would implement my system as the offensive coordinator. Here's where I believe we are as an offense, and here's the vision for how it will enhance." And that to clearly, really display that and to get that conveyed over to myself and the offensive staff is really what it took, you know. And there's a lot of people out there that can that have had success, and maybe not in the type of offense that I want to run here at Notre Dame, but to have somebody that can really understand where we're at, you know, to help our guys with the learning curve and understand and really convey how we'll improve is really why I chose him.
Ultimately, isn't it an advantage bringing in a coach that does not have to learn the players, that knows the players, that can help in the short term expand upon what those players that are already there already know, rather than getting somebody to come in and have to learn everyone while installing their offense?
The only problem I have is that I didn't get to feel the influence of him being there, knowing those players and where they could have been helped at. You know, it's different if this guy was coming from somewhere else, but this guy was down the hallway. So a lot of what we've had problems with these last couple of years, he's been sitting right there. So the influence of you convincing the guy you can do so much better is just interesting, considering you've been there the whole time and we've had the same issues. So maybe it's you really didn't have control over it, but you said you was involved in everything. And And it doesn't convince me anymore with you saying that and us having Charlie Jones effect on our receiver room, So now you're going to change. It's like Joe Biden being in a career politician for 45 years and then saying, all right, now it's time to be the president. It's just you've been a politician for 45 years. How you want to be a president now? Yeah, you were president this whole time before. So I just think it raises a red flag, but it doesn't mean he can't do the job either.
Yeah, it's like the current mayor of Chicago with the election coming up saying that she's against crime, and crime is consistently going up since she's taken office.
Yeah, it's like, what are we talking about?
It's like, just you might not want to talk about crime during these debates. Just let it ride.
It's like,
I do think the transition, though, because the players like him, because he does know the strengths of each player on the roster, or you anticipate that he knows the strengths of each player. And the install might not be as extensive. He pointed out, he was asked about this, and he said, yo, if we went to practice today, we could do it right now. With my offense, we could line up and go through a full practice right now. He was like, the install is not about to be that crazy to whereas it limits what we can do once spring practice begins. And he felt like 2 days ago, they could run a full spring practice if it was time for them to do so.
Well, the question is, though, however, are you a fill-in or are you an OC that's looking to be here for a long time? We're not, and I'm not specifically or necessarily looking for a guy that's just tweaking Tommy's offense. Mm-hmm. Are you coming in to bring your own stuff, to implement your own way of doing offense that isn't what we're building on top of? If this is just I just can enhance what we've already put in place and I can just build on top of it a little bit, are you here for a long run or are you here for a temporary stay? So, if you can tweak on another guy's offense, yeah, how long does that last though?
And it was kind of, I will say this, there was conflict somewhere in the press conference. Marcus Freeman clearly stated that he wanted his offense to be pro style.
Right.
Then he turned around and said he did not expect Jared Parker to run Tommy Reese's offense.
Right.
He expected him to run his offense.
Right. That's what the point.
And I think that's what you pointed out. Like, wait a minute. So I understand, and we'll show the clip. Like, this is from yesterday or from 2 days ago, but this is the clip where Jared Parker started talking about what the offense at Notre Dame is going to be about, and then we'll come right back.
We are built in is we want to be built O-line driven, and we're going to be built from inside out with what we have returning up front and with our running backs and tight ends to be able to control a box. That's where it always has to start. Will we continue to find ways to attack people on the perimeter or deal with hat counts when they may be outnumbered, so to speak? Of course we will. The growth of our wide receivers and all those things are going to be critical to us this spring, this summer, and getting into fall because we want to, like, there's no secret no matter who it is, and I'll say the same thing in year two, like we want to score more points than we did last year. And next year we're going to want to score more points than we did last year. And so that's the deal. And I think, too, like one thing I want to make sure to say before my time's done here, that we have great players and trust in our players, and I want them to feel that trust. I want them to feel empowered to grow so we can do things better week 1 to week 2, 3 to 4, so on and so forth.
So once again, pointing out what he thinks the offense is going to look like. And what he said in the beginning lined up with what Marcus Freeman has consistently said the offense is going to look like. with him at the helm as head coach. Marcus Freeman, as we said, talks about, this is not about a comparison about what the offense did last year, what Jared Parker is going to do this year. And then Jared Parker, he talked about the multiple offenses that he worked with, going from the 4 wide RPOs, going to 12 personnel along with 21 personnel during his time at Purdue, and just a wide range of offenses that he's worked with, and how all of those are going to allow him to come in and form a pro-style offense to be successful at Notre Dame. But the most important thing, 2 important things he pointed out there: points. I don't give a darn what offense you run. Points. Points. That's the fruit. What's on the scoreboard? Specifically against USC, Ohio State, and Clemson. Points. Right? You can give me schematics. You can tell me about motion, what you're going to do. How many points are you putting up? Because I pointed out, Lou Holtz ran the ball 65% of the time and put up points. More points than Notre Dame is putting up now, or has put up in the previous 3 seasons. So we can talk pro style, what needs to happen. He also talked about how critical the growth of the wide receivers were. That's very important to me, Left. It's very important to hear that. More than that, I think it's important for the wide receivers on the roster to hear that. Because I think the confidence of the wide receiver room and the morale was at an all-time low last year for multiple reasons. Multiple reasons. So Jared Parker said the right things. Like, he said everything you wanted to hear and that you needed to hear. But at this point, I'll be honest, I don't think the fan base is any different than us. We need to see points on the board. Like, we hear all of that. That's cool. We need to see points on the board. However you decide to run, whatever pro-style offense you decide to run, we need to see points on the board.
All that matters, because like we said, we're in a peculiar position where you coming in to have a successful offense means top 5 scoring offense and a quarterback in the top 3 rounds. That's what we're looking for, because we believe that's going to carry us to the championship. Your top 5 scoring offense means that something's firing on all cylinders. And we believe, as a fan base and as a coaching staff, we have enough talent to fire at all cylinders. We have enough receiver talent. Obviously, you have enough running back talent. O-line's been proven over and over again every year. Defense has been a staple to give us a chance in every game. We just need a quarterback to be productive enough to give the ball enough to our players that we can be where we want to be, as we've been recruiting it to be, to win these games.
Marcus Freeman also talked about the coaching combo and how he was around this and why he made this decision to not only hire Jared Parker as the OC, but to bring in Gino Guidugli as the quarterback coach. Why did he make that decision, Left? And why is it so important to the future of Notre Dame? And why does it show that Marcus Freeman is investing in the future of the quarterback room, because he feels like that's the room that has held Notre Dame back from being able to take the next step? He saw it firsthand during his time at Cincinnati, right? Mike Denbrock, your former OC, was the OC there. Gino Guidugli was the quarterback coach there. He saw how it worked. He saw how it helped to develop Desmond Ridder. And he wants the same outcome for the quarterbacks at Notre Dame. And he talked about it, why that combo needed to happen.
We'll get up here and talk about that, but I was around it for 4 years, my first 4 years at Cincinnati, right, where Mike Denbrock, who we all know was the offensive coordinator, coach of tight ends, and Gino Guidugli was the quarterbacks coach. And they have to have a great relationship. There has to be a trust. There has to be a very clear understanding of what is expected out of that quarterback position, but the quarterbacks know exactly how the coordinator's thinking. And so it's very important for those two to be on the same page as well as the offense coordinator and the quarterbacks.
Now, once again, you hear that from Marcus Freeman, but it goes back to you, a former quarterback. Who does the quarterback go to get his questions answered on a daily basis?
Yeah. And that's really what it comes down to. And I think having a quarterback coach gives you a better comfort that you'll be able to have succinct on the same page with the guy. But in actuality, man, that play caller and that quarterback got to be on the same page just from a mental level, because you're able to feel good knowing what's coming next. I think that's just an underrated quality to have in a relationship between your offensive coordinator and your quarterback, is the feel good of what's coming next. Do I feel like I know you're trying to set this up because I know who you're trying to go to, or are you just calling plays and I'm just running them? You know, that feel good. When I was with Matt LaFleur in the LSU game, he was calling plays. I was always in tune with him because I would ask him tons of questions. I always worked with him after, to where I felt understanding of when, okay, I know he's calling things for me, but also because I know how he's thinking. So when certain plays came up, I knew I had confidence in the reads because I knew he was setting things up to be successful. And that trust factor, allowed me to play better, allowed me to play free. So I think a relationship and things that you can't put on paper or put on a film is important in having consistency and having a great offense. Like, for instance, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, you already know the synergy there. They know what they're calling. They know they're not in panic when the game gets close because, when it comes down to it, they know what each other are thinking. And I think we need some synergy like that from our coordinator and our quarterback.
Now, what's the chances that synergy is going to be stronger, say 2 years from now, than it might be with Jared Parker and Sam Hartman this year? That's not to say the synergy can't be strong, but just with Jared Parker having more time with the Kenny Minchie, with the CJ Carr, rather than just one quick offseason or spring with Sam Hartman to prepare for the fall. The true investment really is in the future of the quarterback room.
It definitely is. It's the true investment. A lot of it can help us. I think a lot of it can really help us and put us in position to where we can flourish in the future. I think Jared Parker should be thinking about the future. Sam Hartman's a good test run to work out the kinks of how communication goes. But, Tyler's got to be involved somehow this season. I think in Tyler's sake, they should give a fresh start feel where Gino can come in and kind of evaluate these guys properly and how it fits in what Marcus Freeman wants and how Jared Parker sees fit to enhance the guys around him. But Tyler has been the closest thing, in my opinion, just coming off of last year, of what the offensive potential can look like. Provided, he got guys involved. He had a great game. He had 3 touchdowns passing and running, right, or something like that. So I think that that potential excited the fan base, but it should excite Jared.
Let me ask you a question, because I want to be fair to like Notre Dame quarterbacks. In your opinion, do you feel as if, because they talk about the NFL, right? You hear all the talk about Justin Fields, right? Should the Bears trade him? And people are like, yes, go get Bryce Young. And others are like, man, he doesn't have anyone around. He doesn't have an offensive line, doesn't have a number one wide receiver. You saw what happened to your boy up in Buffalo once Stephon Diggs got there. His career took off. You see what Cincinnati did the second year for Joe Burrow. They went and got Jamar Chase. They already had T. Higgins. Patrick Mahomes has had Tyreek Hill. He has Travis Kelce. Whether it's Sam Hartman this year or Tyler Buckner, has Tyler Buckner truly had a number one wide receiver during his time at Notre Dame?
Issue is not being healthy. We don't know what Tyler Buckner can do. Well,
That's true.
I don't
That's
know.
true.
You know,
Do you even feel like Notre Dame has a true number one wide receiver at this point?
not the way the offense is called. We have the talent for it, but I have no idea if we have the ability to produce one in this offense.
So one can be produced, but you just don't get the feeling that, man, that dude is – that's a number one.
I just think that it's just hard right now to feel like, man, a dude is a number one when Charlie Jones outgained every one of our receivers combined. I just think that should be his picture on the chalkboard in the receiver room should be there every single day. That's what should make me hungry, is the fact that that was possible. Combined, all of the combined talent in that room wasn't better than one dude from Purdue? You can't even tell too many people that story. But Jared Parker was there during that whole time. That's why I'm like, how are you going to just make it so different that fast? What are you going to do? What are you going to suggest? What plays you going to call? Because that's a concern for me. You were Charlie Jones too. Unless you just was scheming and up the plays for Michael Mayer. Because if that's the case, okay, just spread the wealth around, you know.
Hey, our boy Marcel, Marcel, man, you really going really hard this week on being a Notre Dame apologist in a lot of different areas. I don't care how many times they threw Charlie Jones the ball. He outgained and out-received the entire wide receiver room. Like that, stop. That, no. That
combined, no, that's the problem. It's combined.
I understand you trying to give a soft landing to the Notre Dame passing offense, but that's not it. That's not it. It's just not. It's not. And I'm glad Jared Parker said our wide receivers and their development is critical. He knows. He's telling you, like, yo, we can talk about this running game all we want to. If they don't step up and get better, we're going to be in trouble. He knows it. Because the quarterback isn't the problem now, right, Left?
Quarterback, we got too many
Quarterback
options.
isn't a problem now, right?
Too many options.
Got Sam Hartman. Everything is copacetic. Everything is copacetic at quarterback. Offensively, the wide receiver room probably has the most pressure out of any position on offense. You feel that way?
Is it pressure or is it they're truly hungry? We don't know if it's pressure or not. I ain't seen them touch the ball more than 10 times in a game.
Yeah.
I want to see some pressure come from the receiver room where, you know, if we don't get this, we might not win, you know.
Yeah. I got Coach Vic from the Lou. Thank you for tapping in. You guys are talking like Tommy was taking suggestions. Did you mention how the coaches were frustrated with Tommy? Well, Coach, they weren't that frustrated because in his press conference, Jared Parker said he had a cup of Joe with Tommy, I think, every Friday before every game to talk about the offense. So, I don't.
Around or something. See,
What'd you say?
That's what makes it so weird for me. You know, the man didn't want you there. So you having all this coffee talk every Friday clearly the man probably wasn't listening to you, or what was going on in that instance. Because if you have so much influence, talking to Tommy every day, being involved in everything, to me it tells me you're just gonna give the same results. I don't believe that Tommy didn't think that the receivers needed to be better. I think he believed the receivers need to be better. He just, for whatever he decided, and you must have agreed that going to the tight end specifically is all y'all really wanted to do. I don't get it. If you're this involved, maybe you should stop saying how involved you were. Because if I'm Marcus Freeman, I'm like, man, you was involved in all of that.
No, I mean, his own words. I met with Tommy for our cup of Joe conversation about the game plan and play calls and what this is what he said. So
you a part of the Tommy the problem.
I'm saying I'll put the majority of the blame at the feet of Tommy Reese. But I'm sure he was happy because his guy was always the number one target on each passing play. He was coaching the tight end.
That means that they both acknowledge. Then what are they saying about the receiver room? What are they saying about the receiver room?
I felt overall the receivers got better. Receivers got better under Chancey Stuckey overall, in my opinion.
I'm saying as it relates to using them in the game.
Oh, using them. Look,
Tobias was being in there.
Is it fair to say Braden Lindsey was open plenty of times? Every game. It was rare that we saw Braden Lindsey beat man-to-man coverage off the line the way he did this year. So his release packages.
I'm not saying in discredit to.
Hey, look.
Well, this is the fastest I've ever felt. So I'm always going to feel the most confident in my speed. More than anything, I feel most confident in kind of my release packages more so now than the past. I want press that plays to my advantage, and being able to be technical at the line, and then being able to use my speed. It's a huge advantage to myself. It's not something that I've had in my arsenal as much in the past, whether it be my legs or my arms, whatever the issue is, or whether it be just lack of overall technique. But now, I feel that playing at the line of scrimmage with the DB plays to my advantage, because if I beat him at the line, I feel very few, if any, can run with me.
He wasn't capping. That was before the season, and you go watch him play, he wasn't capping. There was a difference. There was a considerable difference with the play of Braden Lindsey and his ability to get off man-to-man bump and run coverage in comparison to his previous years. So, look, I'm excited. That was one of the things. That was one of the best clips of Jared Parker in my estimation from his press conference. His ability to identify the critical nature of the wide receiver position at Notre Dame and for the 2023 season, and then understanding that the passing game has to be able to become that complementary part of the offense. Just period.
Yeah,
period.
I was saying it wasn't in a discredit of the receiver room. It was just what was Jared Parker and Tommy Reese thinking about the receiver room during the year, seeing the development chance Stuckey gave to those guys, seeing Braden Lindsey getting open more often, seeing the effectiveness of what Tobias Merriweather can be doing. Because if Tommy's saying he can't trust Tobias Merriweather, that has to be Jared Parker agreeing that they can't trust Tobias Merriweather. Jared Parker saying that too.
Well, hold on, man. Look, now, I'm not just going to throw that at Jared Parker because Chancey Stuckey came before the media and said, yo, yeah, Tommy has to be able to trust guys, and it's our job to get guys ready So maybe guys didn't really vibe with what Tommy was saying, but they held the company line publicly. That could be the case. Maybe behind the scenes they thought Tommy was full of it with the
That could
whole
be
trust
very
talk.
true. That could be very true as well. I just want to understand what is the significance of pointing out how much involvement you had, mentioning that how much you're going to make it better when you were there the whole time before.
So basically, for you, you would just want him to just distance himself from last season. Like, you look, it's a new day. This is my offense.
Yeah.
This is what we're gonna do. Okay.
I don't know if, because now I don't know if you're building on top of somebody else's stuff to get through, or you're really here to be an OC and be like, I'm bringing in my system with my guys. We about to do this and that. That's how we going to improve. But if you improving on tweaking on somebody else's, I don't know how long that lasts. And I don't know if how you're going to make it better when you're there the whole time with that same system. You were there the whole time with the same system. So, trust is going to be a big thing. Maybe that offense can blow up more with, having more control of it or whatever. But I do believe that we have the offense of capability to do that. It's not like you have to make up something from players you don't know what they got. We got guys.
Yeah. All right. Marcus Freeman talked about some of that, and also in back-to-back clips here, he talked about the expectations for the offense and Jared Parker.
On a complementary football. And that's what I love more than anything, is that you can have varying tempos. You can really control the clock if you need to. It's still an offense predicated on being able to run the ball. Like, I want to be able to run the ball. This is not going to be a pass-first offense. But it creates, creates, to me, opportunities to have success in the pass game because of your ability to be able to run the ball. And all those things go together for complementary football. And you can look at statistics. You can look at any numbers you want. But to me, from my defensive background, the ability to play complementary football and to have an offense that doesn't always have to go 1,000 miles an hour, but also doesn't have to huddle every single snap is really what it takes to me to have a successful program, a successful team on both sides of the ball.
Lev, help me to understand. Complementary could be 40-60 run pass. It could be 50-50 run pass. It could be 60-40 run pass. Complementary does mean that the sum is 100. Am I correct? So
you can say that.
I understand you want to be able to run the ball, but you can run the ball efficiently and still throw the ball more as far as number of plays.
That's right.
So I'm wondering if Marcus Freeman is just stuck on attempts, or is he stuck on more of the efficiency of the run versus the pass?
I think he sticks to saying running the football because it's a physical aspect of what's complementary to the defense. If you can run the football, usually you can stop the football from running the football too. And I think that physicality portion Marcus Freeman wants to hold on to, because he's saying, look, we're not going to be a physical defense that can't run the football ourselves either. So that's got to be an aspect to us that, as a head coach defensively, I want on the team, which I do believe we have already with Aldrick and Logan and Jadarian coming back and the offensive line being stout. That is the Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman's vision that I don't think we'll lose next year. He wants the physicality to be complementary as well in the pass game. We got the size for the physical receivers, but we want the impact as well. Maybe winning those 50-50 balls. Maybe catching the ball in traffic, tough third down, catch it at 5, take it to take it 8 to get the first down. Maybe that's the physicality he wants to see in the pass game, but it has to be seen. We haven't seen it. So for Jared Parker to not lose the physicality with what we were doing better with towards last year, but also giving us some of that physical on the pass game, give us some flash, give us some down the field action.
Mm-hmm.
We have the quarterbacks now. Let Tyler get physical in the run game if that's a package we're going with. An up-tempo, RPO, run Tyler Buckner type package. Maybe that's what we're seeing. But
you really feel Tyler should be a weapon week to week rather than just a backup quarterback.
Yeah, because I don't think we have a coordinator that has a style that needs a Sam Hartman in particular. Tommy needs a Sam Hartman. Jared Parker sounds like a guy, he just want to score points so everybody can be viable. And I think if that's the case and thinking about the future, Tyler Buckner needs to be involved next year somehow.
I can rock with that, especially in the red zone, certain situations. Absolutely. Yeah, expectations. What are the expectations, Love? Marcus Freeman talked about it.
I want to make this a Jared Parker versus what we've done in the past. And so I want to be careful on how I answer this, and that, it's, again, a way for him to display different ways to make sure our offense is successful, right? And in the run game, in the pass game, really putting our guys in positions to have success, right? And so I don't want to give you a generic answer. But what I'm not trying to do is say this is where we struggled last year. This is what Jared Parker's going to do to get better. That's not what I'm doing. I'm really looking at, hey, where are we at and how can we continue to get better? And again, some of the schemes that we talked about in the past game, I believe will help us. Some of the different ideas he had in the run game really will help us. But it's all about making sure our guys are in positions to have success and then holding them accountable, right? And the ability to hold everybody accountable and be very clear on what we're expecting out of them.
It's not about last year, but it's clear that Jared Parker said we need to score more points than last year. Like, that's the goal.
Because how else would you keep your job? I mean, it's not about winning games. It is about winning games, but winning games, it's more than that. You got to win games, but win by a lot. Win by a lot. Because we've done 10 years of winning close games. We've proved that. But it's time to be a top 5 scoring offense. That's why I can't get off of that specific stat. Top 5 scoring offense. That's what scoring a lot of points means. If he ain't going to say it, I'll say it for him. Because you need to start saying these objectives. We want to be a top 5 scoring offense. Why can't we say that? That puts the mind to ease. Don't say we're going to score more points. Like 2 more points? A point? Come on. Like if Marcus Freeman has scoured the country to find a pro-style offense to be championship level, don't say you're going to score more points. Say I'm going to be a top 5 scoring offense. That's what I hope Jared Parker was saying, and that got Marcus Freeman like, I don't even need to say no more. Halfway through the interview, he should have heard, we're going to be a top 5 scoring offense, Marcus Freeman. That's what it made. That's worth calling Jack Swarbrick right there. And it's going to be critical we be a top 5 scoring offense by having a better receiver room. That's how we're going to score more points, through that receiver room.
LL Nation. We're going to score more points than we did last year. We're going to score more points next year than we did this year. Versus we're going to be a top 5 offense. Which one would have made you feel more comfortable?
Which one would have
more
made
confident? I'm interested in which statement spoken by Jared Parker would have made you feel more confident in the offense. That's a good point, Left. That's a good point. As we get ready to get out of here, man, Marcus Freeman, he talked about and was pushed on the process, bringing in guys, taking them to the hockey game. Man, they tried him, Left. They tried him. They tried him at the end of this conference. This is what he had to say.
Out, the guy was at the hockey game.
Yeah.
But what did Jared show you maybe from that experience?
Let's hit that hockey point real quick.
Yeah,
right.
So it could be uncomfortable.
We brought guys in that we want, correct? So we bring our top recruits into this place, and guess what we did with them on Junior Day? We took them to the hockey game because Coach Jackson does an excellent job, and that's a great environment. So we're not hiding the point of that. We brought a guy in that we wanted, so we took him to the hockey game, and he ended up not coming here. That's okay. I don't want to hide because I'm worried about, well, somebody might think that this guy turned us down, or this guy said, no, he made a decision that's best for him. But I don't want to hide the fact of what makes Notre Dame great, right? If we're going to bring our top recruits to the hockey game, then why not bring an offensive coordinator candidate to the hockey game? Because why? If we don't get them, people are going to say, well, you tried and you lost. That's life, you know? He decided to make a decision that was best for him. I wouldn't change that if I had to. We want to put our best foot forward. We're not trying to hide and say, hey, let's interview guys, and we don't want anybody to know because somebody might say you didn't get the guy you're going after. That's okay. That's life, you know, and we won't hide that. We won't, in the future, if we are interviewing somebody else, guess what? We're going to put our best foot forward and try to show them everything that's great about this place. Why hide?
You're on mute, bro.
Hold on. See. Don't say why hide, because you got to ask, who is he talking about that's hiding? Because you know who should have been at the hockey game too? Jack Swarbrick. Jack Swarbrick should have been at the hockey game showing solidarity with the head coach that y'all having all this free time. That's who was hiding. They wasn't hiding at no hockey game. Like, he's right. You take the recruits to the hockey game, they spend millions of dollars on the Compton Ice Hockey Arena. Is real nice. I don't like hockey, but I've been there plenty of times because it's a nice arena.
It seems like a good date night, bro.
It's South Bend. That's perfect date. I'm talking
perfect
about
date night.
Yeah, it's gonna be chilly. So
yeah,
you get the fake
get the snow. Yeah.
You really, if you want to do it nice in South Bend on a Saturday night, you go there. So Marcus Freeman is absolutely right. But he was talking about somebody else hiding that should have been in the building with Andy Ludwig and all. Because if that was the case, I don't think Marcus Freeman would have got that question. Because they would have been like, oh, we get it. We understand why it wasn't just a you decision. We know what could have happened. You got the AD there too. So now we don't have to just think it was just you making all these wild decisions or wild people coming and not coming. Because we know that it was a unified, solid effort that everybody was on the same page. That's what it told me. That's how I would have answered it. I would have been like, you know what, you right. Why were we hiding at the Compton Ice Arena? We should have had Jack there too. Maybe that would have sealed the deal. I'm just speculating. But we appreciate, though, that Marcus Freeman, next time, you don't have to get frazzled. Just go up there and be like, you know what? I should have had the administration I was just apologizing for saying, oh, we were all on this together. That's all. Because he was up there answering the question by himself, just like he was at the hockey game by himself. No wonder why Andy Ludwig probably didn't want to come. He was like, wait, where's all the administration with you? We should have had the whole box. You know how they had to, because Compton Ice Arena, once again, got them nice box seats.
Hey, I have to say, bro, the best time I've ever had at a professional sports game was a Chicago Blackhawks game when I was in the WGN suites.
That's right. Them sweets is nice. You could have had the whole
Best,
staff.
yeah, it's the best sporting experience because you know hockey's different. Like I've been to United Center for a Bulls game, and the environment is totally different when they switch the arena for the Blackhawks. Like it's kegs in the hallways as you walk to your seat. It's different.
And you know that's smart. If I'm Marcus Freeman, I'm taking a cold weather coach because Andy probably been to some hockey games in Utah or something. He was like, he'll probably like this. He even tried to get him to ride a Jambroni. Or what you call that thing, the Zambroni, the whatever it's called.
Yeah.
He probably tried to get him to ride that.
Yeah.
But all we're saying is that opportunity at that hockey game was perfect for Marcus Freeman to bring the whole administration that supports all his decisions. And Andy Ludwig probably would have felt the love a little bit more, and we wouldn't have known whatever reason he didn't decide to come.
Yo, you have to love it though, Left. You have to love it because the media is so cunning, right? Because of course Marcus said what he said to get out in front of everything and to establish the message they wanted to get across. And unfortunately, the media just waited towards the end. Just waited. Like, you thought we were done with that?
You thought we were just gonna let you just
gonna let you slide with that? No. So you're cool with just bringing cats to public hockey games and just landing on? Yeah, man, you could tell he was heated as they challenged him, and it was unfortunate, though. That's once again, man.
It's just unfortunate, you know.
Dude. I think Jared Parker deserves every opportunity to prove who he is. And unfortunately, you know, the pomp and circumstance that he should have received was stolen. But who gives a darn? It's time to go play. It's time to go install your offense, and it's time to get confidence.
Hold on. Don't say
install your offense.
Don't say install your offense. It's time to enhance and tweak the offense.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Am I missing something? So basically, you're saying we're taking Tommy's offense and just enhancing it?
Yes. That's exactly what he said. He didn't say, I'm coming here bringing some systems that...
No, see, that's not what Marcus Freeman said. He said, I'm not bringing him in here to run Tommy's offense. I'm bringing in here to run his offense. Well, now, unless you heard something different than I did from both parties left, maybe you feel like that's what needs to be done in the short term.
My speakers on my MacBook computer's a little off, but I'm pretty sure I didn't hear him speak anything about what his offense is about. I heard a lot about what needs to be done better. You know, I heard a lot about what position groups need to step up, and I've heard a lot about collaborative efforts on what can make the team better. But I didn't hear no offensive scheme, not one time. Yeah, you repeating a lot of what we've already been really good at. Offensive line stout, running the football great, tight ends doing great. But what about a scheme? Give me a little insight. I just want a little insight. But right now we're running enhancements. We're just tuning up the car. We ain't getting a new one. We're just tuning up the car.
What's better, Notre Dame hockey game or Notre Dame women's basketball game?
I love Nia. I always say women's basketball games for sure, and they're exciting because you gotta. And it's interesting. You can't just walk up in the girls' basketball game. You really have a ticket for real. So it's different.
Brian J. Irish has a question for you, Lev. Thanks for tapping in. Gerard said he'll adjust to his personnel. What more scheme do we need?
Adjust to the personnel. He's been there. He knows what's there. So if I was thinking, I'm thinking he's going to come with something of a scheme to enhance what he's been seeing as the problem. Wouldn't you think that, okay, if this program isn't functioning right, I can develop a program that can fix that and have the whole computer doing better?
So he needs to be our Steve Kerr. He needs to be our Steve Kerr to Mark Jackson. That's what you're saying.
Yes. Be our Mark Jackson.
No, we need the Steve Kerr. We don't need the Mark Jackson.
Oh, be our yes.
Yeah, we need Jared Parker to be Steve Kerr. Tommy Reese was Mark Jackson.
But yeah, bring it home. Just bring it home.
Just bring it home. Unleash what's there and potential. Look. I agree. I got Jason Hewlett. Thank you for the super chat. Home LL Nation, home of the misguided passion. Luck for OC. I'm just saying. Tony Harris, going back to our original question. We thank you for tapping in, Tony. Look, I totally agree, Tony. I think Franklin's lady is suspect. Something about her isn't quite right. Yeah, I agree.
She came onto the scene too fast.
Veronique, and her mom, she comes from a line of people that run schemes. Who's to say she's not part of the plan that, eventually got Franklin's money taken? We'll find out. It's going to be very
She ain't no good, man. She ain't no good, man. She ain't no good.
Well, man, the Snowfall day. Cannot wait for it to drop tonight. I think they're dropping the first 2 episodes, if I'm not mistaken. Great question here, Mike Keith. Thank you for tapping in. My question is, did the need for a really good quarterback coach who would be dedicated to that position have enough value to tip the scale in the decision? I'm assuming Mike is talking about the decision ultimately to elevate Jared Parker as the offensive coordinator. When you heard Marcus Freeman talk about it, he said he was around the combination at Cincinnati and saw the value in it, and it was something that he wanted to bring to Notre Dame. So, to take Marcus Freeman at his word, he did see tremendous value in that combination being at Notre Dame and how that would be a true investment in the young quarterbacks in that quarterback room at Notre Dame. So, absolutely, I can see that. Someone put just update. Look, Notre Dame, in my opinion, this is my opinion. I think Notre Dame has learned from the way things spilled over with the OC search. And I think that's why there are little to no reports about the O-line search. I'm trying to say something without saying too much. Because most people might think the search for the next O-line coach might be at a stall or be moving slowly. And I would tell you that that's not the case. Some really good candidates, some really strong candidates. And I think a resolution should be coming soon. So, but I do think from a PR standpoint, Notre Dame is very cognizant and conscious of how things are being reported and what's being said. So I would not expect information to flow about the O-line coach situation the way it did about the OC search. So that's that. I do think Notre Dame fans should be and eventually will be happy with the choices that are on the table for Marcus Freeman and the rest of the staff. So, and Marcel, I would say yes by default. I think there are people inside Notre Dame that want Chris Watt. or would love for Chris Watt to get that opportunity. Lucky Lefty Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, CFB Nation in conjunction with Irish Breakdown, all of our great content. We appreciate you guys. You know what time it is.
Petticoat, petticoat, petticoat junction.
It's time to get petty.
Oh, we did a good job executing.
Are you upset with something?
And fire up the Petticoat Junction train.
I just don't like you.
You don't?
No.
What is today's petty historic Petty Junction?
Petty Junction, pettiest stories of the day, brought to you by Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. That premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. I would put the chat on the petty train because as we read through during the show, it's hard to hold back laughter, man. Some of you guys are so petty with the jokes you crack. But no, that Bob, I agree. I agree. There are people on the petty train on the chat today that definitely should have been on the petty train. Left, let me tell you something. I'm going to put the Baltimore Ravens on the petty train. If the Baltimore Ravens apply the non-exclusive franchise tag to Lamar, which I think they're about to do, you're about to give up Lamar Jackson for 2 first-round picks, bro. At $32 million a year? Really? All over guaranteed money, which every owner has plenty of. See, this is the problem in sports, love. This is the problem. Sports would be so much better because we talk about the athletes. Sports would be so much better if every owner wanted to win. See, if you had a league of owners that wanted to win, the league would be better. Well, unfortunately, there's maybe like 7 to 10 owners in each league that legitimately want to win every year. That legitimately want to win. Everybody else just wants to collect their check. They're kind of like the Big Ten, right? You know, Michigan and Ohio State want to win, and the SEC, you know, Alabama and Georgia want to win, and then everybody else just wants to collect their TV check. That's it. They don't care. And it's the same thing in the NFL, same thing in the NHL, same thing in Major League Baseball. Jerry Reinsdorf doesn't want to win. He doesn't want the White Sox to win. He barely wants the Chicago Bulls to win. Dude, the Chicago Bulls are number 2 in attendance. Again. And their product is terrible. Terrible. And Jerry Reinsdorf knows. Dude, Jerry Reinsdorf knows every year he's going to sell out the United Center. Why do I need to win? He literally is still selling out the United Center on the back of Michael Jordan's 6 championships. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen, Left. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. He's had 2 years of buzz. 3 years. That's when Derrick Rose got here before he got hurt. That's it. That was the only other time there was extreme buzz in that building. And they still find a way to be in the top 3 in attendance every year. So is it a Jerry Reinsdorf problem or is it a dumb fan base problem? I'm trying to figure out. You're on mute.
You guys don't demand the greatness. Y'all just let
Hey, I didn't go to a White Sox game last year. I might not go this year. I haven't been to a Bulls game in at least 3 years. I'm not going for that crap, man.
When y'all get women by, y'all gonna be all right.
Man, look. I don't know. I just at this point, the product, not sports itself, but the product in a lot of ways is becoming diluted when it comes to sports. It's becoming diluted. And I think somebody sent us something that Coach Don Staley said over the weekend and asked for our feedback on it. And, I really didn't want to give feedback because I didn't have context of the full statement of what she was talking about. But in a sense, I do feel like the modern day athlete is entitled. In a sense.
Possibly.
And not to the point where how our parents and grandparents used to tell us. I used to walk 3 miles to school with my shoes worn out, and you get to ride a bus, so you have no reason to complain. Not anything like that. But like I said, I see kids that have 1 million followers on Instagram, and they are literally coming off the bench from their AAU team. Like, you are the last person that should be putting up clips, bro. Like, you're not that dude.
That's the world we live in, man.
That's the world we live in, man. That's the world we live in. We're going to have fun tomorrow, Left. We're going to have fun. We're going to bring in an interesting conversation about Notre Dame and history. And we are going to give new numbers to Notre Dame players for a purpose. We'll get into that. Go check out the conversation we had with Jeff Burris last night. It's available on podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, CFB Nation in conjunction with Irish Breakdown. Man, like Domer Watt pointed out, Detroit Lions fans. Like, just so many organizations that they don't care. They don't care. They don't care about winning, man. So I'm not even mad at the fan base. The ownership doesn't care. We want to be entertained. And if you want to spend your money on a bad product, look, people keep asking you to get Ev on the show, bro. Ev is somewhere with Aaron Rodgers, people.
He on the island somewhere, man, living. I don't know where Ev is.
For Left, I'm Shaun Davis. We're starting the show off tomorrow talking about Snowfall. So you already know. Our Snowfall review is starting off the show tomorrow, and then we'll get into more Notre Dame football. Have a great Wednesday, but most of all, make sure that you spend it different.